Photography reached the Middle East shortly after its invention in the late 1830s. However, the camera obscura was first observed in the Middle East in the 11th century. Photography was introduced to Iran in 1842 by King Nasser al-Din Shah. The king was a fan of photography and took it upon himself to photograph his wives and the many state officials. Contrary to social custom at the time, he also trained his servants to take photos of his guests and family. The king opened Iran's first modern college in Tehran in 1851. The school offered courses in photography as well, a first for its time. The school was successful and attracted many students. Seven years after it opened, the school sent a group of students to France to further their instruction in photography. 2 years later, the students returned to Iran with several of their French teachers. The students, along with their teachers, instructed the king, teaching him what they all knew about photography. Around the turn of the century, Iranian photography began to move away from elitist portraiture. Instead, it began to be used for documentation. It became a useful tool for the court in documenting official visits and important events. Kaveh Golestan was an Iranian photographer born in Abadan in 1950. Famous for his coverage of the Iran Revolution, the Iran-Iraq War, and uprisings in Kurdistan, Kaveh is one of Iran's most famous photographers. Raised in Tehran, he attended primary school until the age of 13, when he left for boarding school in England. He returned to Tehran in 1869 and began working as a photographer. His career as a photojournalist began in 1972 with a photo essay about the paramilitary operations taking place in Northern Ireland. In 1977, Kaveh began to work for the newspaper Avendigan. In 1979, he covered the Islamic Revolution, taking what would become some of the most iconic photos of the uprising. For his work as a photographer during the revolution, he was awarded the Robert Capa Gold Medal for superlative photography requiring exceptional courage and enterprise abroad. In 1980, Kaveh spent much of his time on the front lines of the Iran-Iraq War. For the rest of his life, he worked for various news agencies, covering several wars and conflicts. In 2003, Kaveh Golestan was killed by a landmine while on assignment for the BBC. While studying at the University of Tehran, Kaveh met a fellow student who was also studying photography. The other student was Ali Kali, an Iranian photographer who currently lives in the United States. Ali has worked for several different news agencies, both in the United States and in Iran. He had the opportunity to work with Kaveh several times and considered him a friend and mentor.
My name is Ali Kalik. I was born in 1977 in Tehran, Iran, and then I moved to the United States in 2005. I studied photography in Tehran Azad University, and I got my bachelor in art from that university. I'm a big fan of photojournalism. I started photography by taking document black and white pictures. Street photography was my main goal. That was my love, I was going to street and I was in touch with people, taking picture of them, shooting their daily life. And then I started my relationship with media and press, Iranian press. I worked for newspapers. And then I started my career with United Press International, which was an American news agency. So my main, field in photography was photojournalism and working for press. The main person that comes to my head is Kaveh Golestan, who died in Iraq during the covering the Iraq, United States-Iraq war in 2001, I guess. He died by landmine, and he was my master, he was my friend, he was my mentor, and he was a really great guy. That was a great opportunity for me to know him through university classes. When we met at university, he changed my path. I had no idea about the photojournalism, but meeting him changed everything for me. That was like a sparkle for me. And then it opened a new window, it was really, really great experience. So when you're asking about someone, just I remember Kaveh. He was a really great guy, and I'm missing him every day. The main problem was the limitations and censorship. For example, if you want to take pictures in public, you are going to have so many problems. That's not easy. So if you want to do a street photography, if you want to take pictures of people in the street, you are going to be in a big trouble if you don't have permission, okay? So you have apply and get your press card, you have to be passed by different filters, and they have to check you to make sure who you are. It's really difficult, to let you work. So as a person, as a normal person, by going to street, by having a camera, you are going to get caught up. So definitely, if they don't get you on the first day, the second day or third day, they're gonna stop you and ask you who you are. So for a person who is shooting professionally, for a professional photographer, there are so many challenges to face these kind of the problems. So when you are working, you have to be worried about so many things. You have to be worried about so many questions. And after you do the job, there are so many problems and so many things after you do it, Maybe they can come and ask you, what is the reason you did this and you did that? Maybe they don't renew your, your press card. Maybe they don't let you work anymore. If you don't obey the rule, if you don't follow the path they want. So it is very difficult to work.
We asked Ali if he would return to Iran as a photographer if given the opportunity. This was his response.
When I moved to United States in 2005, I lived here for about 2-3 years, and then I decided to go back and continue what I was doing before. And I did it, but the things had been changed a lot. That was during the Ahmadinejad's government, and the restrictions, censorship was so high. And I tried to get back to what I was doing before. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it because the situation became much worse, and that was not possible for me to do it. So I decided to come back, and then I moved back to the States.
Despite the censorship, photography is playing a key role in the social change of Iran and the rest of the Middle East.